What up? This is Vinny from the Jersey Shore. You're listening to Sports Rap Live on Sports Talk 790 AM on iHeartRadio.
Oh yeah, welcome back to the Cool Zone, everybody. Put your fists in the air on Sports Rap Live. It's one of the board members of the coolness is on the Silverleaf Ghost Pepper Hotline. Gary Parrish, lead college basketball writer and radio host himself. Swag GP, how are you? Yeah, there he is. Hey, we're just turning you up. We're letting you feel the vibe first. You know how it's going down here on Sports Rap Live. How are you, GP?
I can't get any better. I'm doing all right. You guys okay down in Houston?
Yes, sir. We're trying to fight off this rainstorm. You know how it is. It's like perfectly sunny days all day on Easter, and then all of a sudden, one black cloud just rolls in, and so we're hoping it avoids us.
Yeah, it's cool as long as you stay inside, so just don't go outside.
Well, we'll probably start saying that about mid-May, all the way through September.
Right.
When we're getting ready for the next college basketball season. Well, hey, I got to ask you, man, what's a normal week for you like once the Final Four hangover wears off?
You know what? It's actually like this past week, I mean, it's been a little bit of a recovery. I was in New Orleans for 8 days, and that's just not a city where you need to spend 8 days. I mean, it starts to wear on you because, you know, I like discipline, and New Orleans doesn't really have any guidelines. So when there's nobody there, whether it be a wife or a bartender to tell me it's time to go home, I don't go home. And so, you know, in New Orleans, you guys know, nothing closes, and, you know, whatever your vice is, it's there. And so by the time I got home, I was just beat down. And so I think I started feeling back okay about yesterday, but there's a recovery time, no question.
Absolutely. Well, that was just a week ago where we crossed paths with you in epic fashion. And I think it will go down in history as the new, sort of Rapp pack of sports media guys that are showing up at these big events.
Oh, it was a trip. I mean, you guys know, and I'm sure you've told the story, but I guess it was after the Louisville-Kentucky game, right? And, you know, sometimes you get in these press conferences, and, you know, it's a bunch of mainstream writers and / old white guys. And so, you know, they never see anything like you guys. And so you get these guys who feel like sometimes the new media and a younger generation or a hipper generation is sort of moving in on their ground. And so they get offended when somebody comes in and doesn't, you know, do the typical, can you talk about whatever, blah, 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 stupid question they got. So you guys were a breath of fresh air as far as I'm concerned. I was laughing, and for every old white dude in there sort of offended that this wasn't the professional press conference they grew up in, I enjoy it. I'm just trying to laugh every day.
That's not a good look, son.
Exactly, Ghostface.
That's how they went with you guys.
Definitely, but we had the guys that mattered on our side, and swag became part of the weekend. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you a quick story about that. So I'm walking down the hall Friday night for the Astros season opener with my man Andrew Martinez, and we're coming out of the press box calf, and I hear swag. And I'm like, oh, really? Is it now coming into the baseball arenas? And it was a good friend of mine who runs sound over there at Minute Maid who heard it on Sports Center during the press conference, and now it's spreading, Gary. It's spreading into swag. And it's the irony of the whole thing is we had retired the word officially, months ago. Last year we retired it, but the kids are still on that swag. So my best way to relate to these kids, because I'm still a kid at heart, just like you and the rest of the guys here at the table, was to say swag, because that was congratulations, and it just took off from there. So I'm happy that we met you through this all. And why don't you tell Sports Rap Live listeners out there and the Rapp Pack here at Junction Bar and Grill just a little bit about yourselves, because I have a feeling that we're going to be talking to you quite a bit here on Sports Rap Live. Tell us a little bit about how you got on with CBS and how you became a radio personality in your own right.
Yeah, I live in Memphis. I grew up around Memphis, and, I had a college, got a job at Commercial Appeal, which is the daily newspaper in Memphis, just like the Houston Chronicle is Houston. And, I stumbled into a recruiting scandal within, my first year and a half, 2 years on the job that involved Logan Young, an Alabama booster in Memphis, Albert Means, an Alabama player from Memphis, and actually led to, an FBI investigation, and Alabama was put on probation, Kentucky was put on probation, the coaching staff were fired, the booster was sentenced to prison, federal, the federal crime, and from that, I became this young hotshot investigative reporter.
Your own swag, basically.
Yeah, I wasn't even an investigative reporter. It was just like I stumbled into it and made the right phone calls at the right time. Either way, I leveraged that into getting the University of Memphis basketball beat at the Commercial Appeal, which was the biggest beat at the time and still is, honestly. And that's where I covered John Calipari for 4 years, from 2002 to 2006. And then after the 2006 basketball season, Greg Doyle, my colleague at CBS, was the college basketball writer. They were going to move him over to be a general columnist, and they needed a new college basketball writer, and they called me, and I'm not really sure why they picked me, but maybe I just interviewed well. So it worked out. And then from that, once you're in this job, the same way, I'm doing this piece right here, you start to do a lot of interviews all over the country and all over town. And I started doing a local radio show here in Memphis with the columnist in Memphis, Jeff Hawkins, and we did that on the AM dial for a while, then took it over to the FM dial a couple of years ago, and things have sort of taken off for there. So I don't really, it's been I got to speak to a college class next Monday, and they always say, okay, tell your story, as if it's some sort of math. I don't, my story doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't usually work out this way. It just sort of happened, and here I am. I'm pretty fortunate.
All right, Cal, it's Andrew here. I had some questions about Coach Cal that you were just touching on. And what did you think overall about the whole tournament? Because afterwards, we had a lot of discussion about, he had a lot of melancholy afterwards, and he kind of seemed just, to deflect towards the kids and how it was all about the kids. What was your take, though, as for someone who's followed him for quite a while, about his sort of attitude, and I guess going into next season, his sort of attitude is about, just the program overall?
Yeah, John's instincts are to just not give you whatever it is he thinks you want. So when he thinks that you want him to talk about how meaningful this is for him, given how criticized he's been for never winning the, quote, big one, he's just going to do the opposite of that. That's who he is. It's his personality. I mean, I spent practically every day with the guy for 4 years, and, I know him as well as I know any other coach in America. The idea that didn't matter to him is just silly. Of course it mattered to him. He just knew that that's what everybody wanted him to say, so he wasn't going to say it. The reality is, the guy's the very best at what he does. And I know its flaws, and I know about the vacated the vacated seasons and Final Fours, and I know the people who are his detractors, I know why that exists. But in this era of college basketball, there's not a bigger deal than what John's doing at Kentucky right now. I mean, in reality, he's going to lose this entire national championship team except for maybe Kyle Wiltshire, and then he'll add Ryan Harrow, a transfer from NC State, and then he's going to add, 4 or 5 of the top 15 players in America that are in high school right now, and he's going to be preseason ranked number 1 again and in a position to do it again. Now, can he do it again? I don't know. It's difficult to get all that to come together, but as long as he's at Kentucky, he's going to have a preseason top 5 team every year, based on nothing more than the talent he's enrolled.
You touched on some of those recruits that he might get. Is Shabazz Muhammad, do you think he's going to be one of those guys that he's going to get? Because there's been a lot of talk about, him going to either Kentucky or UCLA.
Yeah, I have all along believed he'd be at UCLA because the reality is the kid played for a summer team that's been sponsored by Adidas for a long, long time. The family's in there deep with it. There's a long-standing and very lucrative relationship that has been going on with Adidas and everybody around Shabazz for a long, long time. And for that reason, everybody, or at least partly for that reason, everybody in basketball has always assumed the kid was going to end up at UCLA, which is an Adidas school. But more and more throughout the Final Four, I started hearing, that Kentucky's in there, and that means Nike's in there, and it's going to come down to a Nike-Adidas war. And if Nike and Calipari are able to get this done, it will be the most Nike-Calipari thing that they ever got done, because the Shabazz to UCLA thing is something that nobody was supposed to be able to turn around. Now, let me be clear. He may still end up at UCLA, and it wouldn't surprise me one bit. I'm just telling you that whereas 6 months ago, everybody assumed it was a done deal, Shabazz to UCLA, more and more in basketball, people are starting to talk about Shabazz and Kentucky.
Well,
and if they get him and Nerlens Noel and Anthony Bennett to go with the rest of those guys, I mean, forget about it. You're going to watch another team with pros at every single position.
Well, maybe Worldwide West needs to step in.
I'm sure West and I don't know how to say this safely. I'll just say that I'm sure Wes is aware of the situation.
Okay.
I guarantee you Wes already has the colorway, the Shabazz colorway at Nike.
Yeah, he's offered it too.
On his desk right now. Well, we saw our boy Eric from Nike Basketball out there representing for Kentucky, sitting next to Ashley Judd, who became a little bit of a friend of a show, who was nice enough to say hello and shout out the Rapp Pack here in Houston. But I want to ask you, now you're notorious. We talk basketball ad nauseum, and I don't want to give them everything tonight, your first time on the show, but you're real notorious for your great stories from the podcast on air, and we had such a great time in New Orleans. Why don't you give us what are your good stories from New Orleans this past weekend?
Well, oh wow, they all involve the same stuff. I guess,
driving.
There was no driving stories in New Orleans, thank God. There was one where you get to these parties and they just it's all coaches and assistant coaches and agents and runners and media people, and you're all just sort of running in each other's circles. You never know which way it's going. And again, like in New Orleans, nothing ever closes. So it would be, 2:30 in the morning. All right, where are we going next? 3:30 in the morning. Where are we going next? That's the difference between, say, Indianapolis Final Four and New Orleans Final Four, because at some point in Indianapolis or San Antonio or St. Louis.
What about Houston last year?
Yeah, Houston, things shut down. It's just like there's literally nothing else to do unless you're just going to have a party in your hotel. And so, but in New Orleans, it just never shuts down. So, you get back to the room and you get up the next day and, everything's a little bit hazy. But I remember walking onto the CBS Sports Network set last Friday. And, their shuffle is in and out. So on the set, it's like Wally Zerbiak and Adam Zucker and Mateen Cleaves and me and somebody, Steve Lapis are getting ready to go on the next break. And so it's basically like all right, break, commercial, you guys get off the stage, Parrish, Lapis, you guys get on the stage. And as we're going on, Mateen Cleaves is like, he's like, yo, man, you all right? And I said, yeah, I'm good. Like, just like he was asking me what's up. So he said, man, you was in bad shape last night. And I'm like, really? Where at? He was like, the Adidas party. And I was like, really? I don't even remember seeing you at the Adidas party. Apparently, I was the life of the Adidas party, hung out with Mateen Cleaves for at least 45 minutes and have very little recollection of that at all. That's basically your New Orleans Final Four.
Garrett, not only did you tie in sneakers and Mateen Cleaves, which is a big part of what we talk about here, sports sounds and sneakers, but I got two words for you: swag. Hey, let me tell you, ride with me through the bottom of the hour here, okay? I got a few more questions for you. All right, so you know who has that swag? And you heard it, because I got a text from Gary that said, oh, I love radio commercials, because he heard the commercial for the Cowboy lawyer, Gary Trichter, Houston's top DWI lawyer. And you might not be drinking and driving in New Orleans, but here in Houston, where everything's so spread out, as some of the national writers like to point out, if you're going to drink, have a non-drinking designated driver, or take a cab or a limo. Or Gary, if you ever join us here in Houston at Junction Bar and Grill, you're always welcome to crash out in the RV, which is out front, the Junction Bar RV. Always parked out front, lush accommodations, and there's even a copper pole in there if you'd like to take the party out there after. But do not decide that you're going to get in the car and drink and drive, because if you do, you better follow the traffic laws religiously and do not give an officer a reason to stop you whatsoever, because if you do get stopped, you're going to have to answer questions. And I do not want you to answer any of these questions about drinking, because the officer's not going to believe you anyhow. I'm telling you right now, HPD, they ain't having it. If they smell it, they're going after it. Be polite and ask for your lawyer before doing any tests or answering any questions, and continue to be polite and ask questions, or even ask for your lawyer. And I'm going to give you his number to put in your phone in just a minute, because remember, you're likely going to be on video just like we are here every episode of Sports Rap Live, and what you say and what you do will be recorded, Gonz.
I know, as the Bohemian Rhapsody guy.
Yeah, that was not a good look, son.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Absolutely not. And I'm going to tell you what a DWI is going to cost you in the state of Texas. I don't know what it is in Memphis, but here, it's 1 year suspension of your driver's license right off the top, 6 months in jail, a $2,000 fine, plus the $3,000 tax they're going to put on your license, including court costs, fees, and other BS in excess of $2,000. A doubling or tripling of your insurance costs. So save yourself the money, the headaches. Put Gary Trichter's number into your cell phone right now. Even our boy Kadoma, who's out there in Vegas right now listening on iHeartRadio, has Gary Trichter's number in his phone, because you never know when you might get caught up. And it's 713-524-1010. Yeah, as Gonz plays the Alcoholics. You put this number in your phone. It's 713-524-1010. Call him in Houston and visit TexasDWIlaw.com. YMCMB.com. Gary, thank you so much for riding through that. You know, we got to let the people know because we're here at Junction Bar and Grill every Thursday and Sunday night, broadcasting live on Sports Rap Live. And Gary, you're a big music fan, right?
Yeah, sure.
All right, well, tell us what you're rocking in the iPod these days.
Let's see. There's a new Craig Finn album that's out. He's the frontman of a band called The Whole Steady out of Minneapolis. I've got that going. There's a band from Memphis named Lucero that's got a new album that just came out. I'm friends with those guys. I've listened to that quite a few times lately. And then, of course, the new Kanye single came out the other day. So I've heard that a few times already. My son is actually a huge, he's 9, and he's a big Jay-Z fan. So he's always, whenever he's in the car, he wants to hear the edited version of the Watch the Throne album.
Yes, sir.
You have the edited version?
Oh yeah,
You got to.
I honest to God, I have I have the regular version and the edited version of every Kanye album, just strictly because my son loves Kanye.
Well, let me ask you this: you got any of that Little Wayne?
He's being a good dad. That's what he's doing right
Absolutely.
now.
How old's your son, Gary?
He's 9.
Oh, well, see, mine are teenagers now. You probably don't believe it just by seeing me out there in New Orleans. But, yeah, I have a 16 and a 14-year-old, and they're all about it. I mean, and I can't stop them from getting the internet version. So it's pretty dirty in their iPods, but that's the state of rap music today. You know what? It's real. It's real music as we drop you know what, in Paris.
Clean version.
All right, well, hey, what about Lil Wayne or Young Money? You a fan of their music?
You know what? I don't love him as much as like other people do. I've got some friends who put him as the best. I saw him here in South Haven, Mississippi, actually, a year and a half ago. He's fine. I thought the new album was terrible, or the latest album was terrible, but like I don't put him up there with Jay or Kanye or I don't put him in that group, although I know other people do.
All right. Well, hey, you know what? Somebody from the Young Money camp is here, and that's Short Dawg. No, you're good. Hey, we keep it in the true tree.
Keeping it real.
We keep it in the true tree here. I want you to say what's up to my man Short Dawg. He's at the table.
Yo, brother, how you doing?
I'm good, man. How you?
He just he just dropped a mixtape called March Madness. So I want you to tell us a little bit about who you think is your preseason number 1 before we let you go. I know it's early, but we got to give you something to think about all summer long, Gary.
Given that the class that I think John's going to enroll at Kentucky, it's going to be Kentucky. If they get the players I think they're going to get late, which is Nerlens Noel, Anthony Bennett, and Shabazz Muhammad. Short of that, look for Indiana, assuming they return everybody, including Christian Watford and Cody Zeller. But I just think at the end of the day, so John's roster is going to look like nothing as soon as Anthony Davis and Michael Kidd-Gilchrist and all those kids officially turn pro. By the time we get ready to start basketball, he's going to have one of the best rosters, if not the most talented roster in the country. And if he gets the guys I think he'll get, I know at CBSSports.com we'll rank Kentucky preseason number 1 with a completely different roster, which is frankly unheard of in the history of college basketball.
Hey Gary, we just want to say thanks for coming on the show, and try and lay off Norlander. On the podcast, you guys are just so mean to Norlander. And tell him we're also going to try and have him next on the show.
He makes it very easy to pick on him, and he takes it well, so we continue to do it.
Hey, you know what? We want to continue having you right here on Sports Rap Live, Gary. You know what? Over the summer, think about us. If you get bored, you know the Ghost Pepper hotline number now. I know you got it locked in your phone. And as we get closer to fall, we'll start ramping up for the next season. So we'll talk to you soon, brother.
Let's count on that. You guys are the best, man. It was good to meet you down in New Orleans. I'll see you soon.
Absolutely.
Thanks, man.
Hey, ATL next year, right?
I'll be there for sure. Hope you guys make it down.
We will.
Absolutely. All right, well, hey, we're going to keep the madness going right here on Sports Rap Live with Young Money's own Short Dawg, who dropped his latest project, March Madness. He's a big sports fan himself. He's been posted up over here in the Sports Rap Lounge on the couch, eating some of those nachos, enjoying himself. So I got to ask you first and foremost, how are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing great, man. Hopefully all that cheese on the nachos don't get to me, but I'm doing good for right now.
Man, you better watch it. You set yourself up. Better be careful, man.
No cheese. I'll tell you what, man, this is a cheese-free zone, just like the Prime Minister of France, who outlawed cheese. Did you hear about this?
What?
Yeah, Sarkozy said no cheese in my house. So we're going to keep it
in
like
his
that.
house, not in the country, though.
Well, no, not the country.
I was going to say, France, man, that's some big business over there, the cheese.
Absolutely. All right, well, hey, first and foremost, let's introduce you to the Sports Rap Live fans out there. I think most of us know you, whether, you know what, our special friends that call in are down with Young Money or like Lil Weezy. we all rock with him here. As a matter of fact, my man Andrew Martinez took him on his, we had a draft. We had a rapper draft, and he took him on his starting 5.
Yeah.
So he was representing Team Martinez. But why don't you tell us how you ended up with Young Money and what you guys got cooking in the kitchen as a squad?
I met Wayne probably like back in 2007, I believe, and we just knew each other through mutual people in the industry. And he heard a song that we did together on Lil Bow Wow's album with me, him, Lil Scrappy, and Pimp C. And he fell in love with my rest in peace. And he fell in love with my lyrics from that point and wanted to continue working with me. And then it just turned into a friendship that developed into the situation with being at Young Money Entertainment.
All right, now what city you claiming? What city you go? Oh, it's getting hot out here. It's Young Money.
Houston, Texas, all day.
All day long. That's right. Born and raised right here. Well, hey, what do you guys got cooking in the kitchen with the squad?
Oh, Nikki just dropped her album. You know what I'm saying? Tiger dropped his album. They got the Little Twist album working up. The next Young Money project. A lot of things in the work.
All right. Oh, group project.
Yeah, it's the Young Money album, the compilation.
All right. Well, that's what really set it off for all you guys. Was the last one.
Yeah.
It really set everybody else on to go out and do their own thing, but come back together as Young Money.
Exactly.
And put it down as a team. Now you have to excuse me. I've been out in the Texas wildflowers all weekend long, if you know what I mean. So my allergies a little bit bother me. But hey, let me ask you this: what sports do you follow closest, and tell us who your squads are?
I'm a basketball fanatic, man, and my team is the Celtics. We struggling right now, but it's all good.
I don't know about that. Rondo, I think it was his 16th straight game with at least 10 assists. 10 assists.
But overall, we usually a little higher in the rankings. You know what I mean? So I'm not used to seeing us this low. You know what I mean?
I think they're digging themselves out of a hole, honestly, because they've had one of the best records since the All-Star break after a slow start.
But, I'm saying, but as entirely, like we normally be the top 3 contenders.
Right,
you know what I mean? And now it's you got the super team over there on the East, Miami Heat.
As long as you don't end up in that 7-8 seed where you got to face Miami or who am I thinking of? Or Chicago. If you don't face one of those 2 teams, you're probably going to be okay.
Chicago lost today, actually.
I was betting on them too, man. So.
Oh, okay, so you're a money guy.
Yeah.
Well, Young Money, of course.
He got money in the name.
Of course.
Got money
of course.
in the name.
When all it says on your Twitter handle is leaving the bank, you know you're Young Money. I like that. All right, so basketball, what about in the West? Like, who do you come for in the West? You're a Rockets fan, being from H-Town?
I mean, I'm a Rockets fan by default.
You got a Celtic as a coach now.
Yeah, I just don't like our choices when it comes to trades and
thank you. I agree.
And drafts and stuff like that. Like, I think we could do better in that department. But other than that, I'm a Rockets fan. Once we get back to our normal state, where we doing the 20-game winning streak, and I'll be attending the games again. But for now, I just watch it on TV.
All right.
I like OKC out the West.
See, me and him are like this right now.
I think so. Well, you're obviously you're dropping the joints right here. Gons doesn't really believe in Daryl Morey. He said it for now almost 2.5 years. 3 years. Yeah.
Daryl Morey's still my boy though.
Well, and then you have this guy here.
You two can hang out. I ain't hanging out with him. He's making bad moves over here.
Well, it's the fact that he keeps drafting young guys. Or he does great in the second round. We talked about this the other night. His first round is suspect, or he either.
I would say that he does well with the draft for what he's given to pick. He isn't able to pick very high in the draft, so how can you really hold that against him? Like if he had a lottery pick every year, a high lottery pick, maybe then we can actually say.
Who's responsible for getting rid of the good guys we've been having though? Like Rudy Gay, who was responsible for that trade?
Well, you actually think about that trade. That actually trade today looks bad, but at the time was a pretty good trade because we were trying to build a team that had a veteran. We had that good nucleus of T-Mac and Yao, and we're trying to build around that. So at the time, the Battier signing really wasn't that bad. He was a good clubhouse guy. He actually taught a lot of the young rookies how to come up and play defense and how to be professionals.
Yeah.
I think now you're probably right that trade looks probably bad now because we're looking for one of the scorers, and he would fit that role. But at the time, I think it was a pretty sound judgment.
I'll tell you who to blame. Yao Ming's foot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's nothing. You can't do anything about injury. T-Mac, same thing. He was broke by the time they got rid of him.
Man,
so
we just got bad luck, I think, right now.
I think so.
Yeah, it's true. And they have the pieces, like we were talking about Friday night when they beat the Lakers. They have all the pieces together to actually have a good squad if they had that solid superstar.
If Kevin Martin was just a lot better.
Yeah.
He's real good, though.
Yeah, but if you had someone in that role, that shooting guard, small forward that was really, really good, this team could be a lot better.
All right, well, I got to ask you now as we got a few minutes, so let it breathe. But what are your goals this year as an artist yourself? We've heard about the Young Money collab, the new album coming out. tell us about yourself. You've got this March Madness project. Tell people where they could get it and then what you got coming in for the rest of 2012.
Well, yeah, I just dropped the March Madness towards the end of March. It actually wasn't going to be a tape. It was just going to be a series of leaks of freestyles. But everyone was, going so crazy over the freestyles, and they started saying there was a tape coming, the March Madness tape. So I was like, all right, I might as well just make a tape out of it. So I just put 11 songs together and put it in tape format, threw some wacky artwork up there to make people laugh, and put it out there as a tape, and it's actually doing real well on the internet. You can get on that Piff, Live Mixtapes, coasttocoastmag.com, a few more mixtape sites, but it's actually doing real well. And my goals for this year as an artist is just, to reach the masses of my fan, find what my fan base is, find my core fan base and my core audience, and just, reach them. I go on tour starting May 3rd.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I got my own tour starting in New Orleans, and I'll be touring to the 25th. So I'm going to be going around the world just promoting the Adventures of Drankenstein, the March Madness, and when I come out tour, I'm dropping Notos.
So that's the album?
No, that's another mixtape.
Another
mixtape. The album probably coming towards the end of the year, but right now I'm just building my buzz and trying to, keep the fans happy, you know what I'm saying?
Awesome. Well, hey, yeah, we got to head to break. So real quick, I got to ask you, who you got in the NBA Finals?
I probably see the Heat and OKC.
The Heat and OKC.
Yeah.
Yep, I think that's the consensus. We got some head shakers. We got Spurs fan in the house tonight, so he's he's always butthurt because he thinks the Spurs are gonna win it every year. So, hey, we appreciate you stopping by.
Already, man.
And what about your Twitter? Why don't you give out your Twitter? Because that's one of the best Twitter handles. I'm gonna follow you now because it is. Why don't you give it out right now?
Yeah, follow me at Elvis Freshly. That's FRESHLEY. Elvis Freshly, you know what I'm saying?
That's kind of cool.
It is kind of cool.
Tweet me and I tweet you back if you bad. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, send pictures.
I don't retweet if you got your shirt off to all the fellas. I don't do those retweets. The profile pics in the mirror. I don't retweet those. So
that's Bun B disapproved. Executive producer right here on Sports
Definitely
Rap Live.
Hit me on Twitter. I'll retweet it and send you a shout back.
All right, man. All right. Well, hey, you know what? Anytime you want to call in or check in as we get closer to the NBA Finals, please do so.
Definitely.
You did an amazing job tonight. And make sure you get that March Madness, that brand new download on Dat Piff, or check them out on Young Money. And check us out when we get back. We're going to come back and talk a little golf for the Masters. Appreciate it. You guys stick around right here, friends, on Sports Rap Live.
Listen to some Elvis right now.
Yeah.